Okay, let's take a look at some failures in RS3, 4, and 5. These get frustrating because you lose ships, or you lose your artifacts, or a combination of the two. Usually with Sanctuary and the higher levels, it's not that big of a deal, other than the lost hydrogen. It always pays to play smart and play efficient, but sometimes things just go wrong. We'll go ahead and get in here. Unfortunately for my corporation members, they had a string of really bad luck with a couple of these. They're kind of frustrating. Let's go ahead and get our guys in here. We've got 3 battleships in Red Star 5. One has Delta Shield, which increases their speed, and his secondary mods are Impulse and Sanctuary. And then his 2 Omega battleships have Sanctuary and EMP. So the losses aren't too bad, but it's still frustrating for a strategic mishap, so to speak. So he's going to bring his battleship across with Delta and then use Impulse to cut across, which is clever, and then it kind of falls apart. Go ahead and zoom in here. Now he does send his 3rd battleship to the side to grab this Sentinel, which is wise. I think that was the right move, but he misses the interceptor, and all he does is lock up the Colossus, which doesn't really help what he's trying to do here. The goal is to get all enemies in the sector in one EMP. That way they're stuck, and you can just put a pounding on them. And the other mishap he made was his BS that was trailing, his battleship that was trailing, crossed into the corner of the south sector and pulled a couple ships to him, weakening his shield, and it's distracting. And overall, the strategy is kind of falling apart at this point. I'm sure in his mind it was working out the way it was supposed to. Just in execution, it didn't really follow through. So here we see, go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. Now he's getting hit by the Colossus. His damage ramps up as time goes on, and if you don't switch targets, it's just going to punish you. Okay, so he's still getting hit by the interceptor, and he tries to EMP and try and get some damage in, but you just can't take out the Colossus and leave an interceptor there. Once the EMP fades, the multi-target resumes and just starts chipping away at your guys. And even though he has Omega Shield, it's just not enough to balance. That interceptor is just going to punish him. And then he tries to send in a rocket, but the interceptor can target 5 things at a time. So even if he had left all 3 of his battleships there, the interceptor still would have smashed those rockets in a heartbeat. The battle probably could have been saved. Maybe pull the interceptor back to the sector where there's not any enemies. But overall, just good plan, poor execution. Nothing personal against my corporation member. It happens, and unless you're good at switching strategies in the middle of a fight, it becomes impossible to recover, as you can see here. To add insult to injury, once your ships start dying and the Colossus has no shield, he has salvage, so every ship that dies heals him. Yeah, this one's a total wash. Go ahead and speed it up. Yep, he does manage to save his miners. He manages to pull them back and get them out before the interceptor can kill him, which is surprising. The miner is super slow. But that's it for that one. That was a red star 5. Let's go ahead and get same guy. Same guy. He's going to do a level 4 to try to recuperate. And his luck does not turn around on this one either. So we'll go ahead and speed it up a little bit. He's going to come down. His cooldowns are back. So he's going to go ahead and pop his shield. And a red star 4, you only have 2 battleships. It limits your strategic ability. But if you approach it right, it's not that critical. Alright, let's watch. He has a good idea. He's going to send in one battleship to an asteroid and the other one to the planet. Try and engage those sentinels. Okay, EMPs the 2 guardians, which is fine. And then he speeds up. Gets both sentinels. And he's burning up a lot of hydrogen. My corporation member Kevlar does a lot of talks about white star economy. Red star economy is important too. Red star 4 is one of, if not the only red star where you can be hydro positive at the end of the match. The amount of artifacts that are available, plus the sheer quantity of hydrogen versus enemies that are easily dispatched. This is the only one where you can really stay positive. Red Star 5 and up have Colossus that just take way too much hydrogen to kill. Even using clever targeting tactics. He does end up clearing that planet. So it's not a complete loss. But he does try to go for this second planet, and I think that's where his fighting falls apart. That mistake right there is going to cost him a lot of damage. He EMP'd himself on both ships and missed the Sentinel. If you're going to hit everybody, hit everybody. At that point, the match is pretty much over. He doesn't have much structure left. His shield is weak. I would have just ended the fight right there. He brings another battleship in to replace it, thinking he can get another set of artifacts, and it doesn't work out. He's got these 2 guardians coming in and a sentinel behind them. The AI is tricky like that. They'll send the tanks in before the damage. Pretty sound strategy, and it just doesn't work. He loses battleships again, back to back. That's it for that one. We'll go ahead and do another. That was a Red Star 4. This is going to be, I think I only have time for a Red Star 3. These guys, on a personal level, I feel for them, but they crack me up because it's all learning experience. You gotta lose a few ships to get there. You know, a guy that's on Red Star 6, this is a breeze to them. They can just send in their big bad battleship 3 or 4 and wipe them all out. These guys on Red Star 3 have limited mods and no sanctuary usually to fall back on, so they got to stick with tactics. This guy actually succeeds, but barely. He's just in and out real quick, muscles through, and he's using battery and mass battery to take care of the targeting problem. Mass battery can target 3 opponents at once, so he can get rid of the Sentinel, but he loses a lot of shield and some structure in this fight. When a well-placed EMP would have solved that problem. Plus, because he took so much damage, now he's limited on whether he can approach another planet. It's hydro efficient, but not in the long run when you're trying to collect as many artifacts as you can. He ends up winning that one, but you see he's got 13 minutes left on the clock and no real options to try to get another set of artifacts. Let's get out of that one and try one that was just... I watched it and I don't really have any advice on these. I try to help, but unless you're watching and talking to them while they do it, discussing tactics, it's internal. You got to understand how the mechanics work and how to manipulate the targeting system to get what you want. This planet here has 2 guardians and 2 sentinels, and it just wreaks havoc on his battleships. So we'll go ahead and speed this up. You can see he's hesitating. We're already almost a minute into the star, and he hasn't moved a ship. At that point, I would have warped him out and searched again. So let's watch this unfold. What I would have done was send another battleship to the planet to try to target both those sentinels. I don't think he does that. I think he just sits tight and tries to muscle through. And it doesn't work at this level. You don't have enough shield. You don't have enough power to get through it. He's trying to group everybody together. We see that tactic a lot in Red Star 6. The problem is the ship that he used to pull the ships to the asteroid is the one that has EMP on it. So now his shield is busted, and getting back to that asteroid to EMP them isn't going to work. The other problem is he sent a second battleship in right after. So that you ruin the ability to use EMP. It's a zero-sum game. Everybody's EMP'd. You're not doing any damage. You're not taking any damage, and you lose the fight. He gets pretty stomped on that. But we'll take a look at some more later. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little frustrating to see tactics backfire on you. Thanks a lot.